I stood in the garage, surrounded by boxes I'd been avoiding for 16 months. Eleanor's handwriting on the labels still made my chest tight. Holiday decorations, craft supplies, Robert, open when ready. That last one had been sitting untouched since the day after her funeral. The October sun filtered through the dusty window, casting long shadows across the concrete floor. I could almost hear her voice reminding me to wear a jacket, telling me dinner would be ready in 20 minutes, asking if I'd remembered to call the kids. The silence was the hardest part. Not the empty house, not the cold side of the bed, but the absence of her voice filling the spaces between my thoughts. I picked up the box labeled with my name, lighter than I expected. Inside, wrapped in one of her old scarves that still smelled faintly of her perfume, was a small wooden box I'd never seen before. My hands shook as I opened it. A thumb drive, a note in her careful handwriting. Rob, watch this alone. Don't tell anyone until you do. I love you. Always have, always will. Any 25. My daughter Amanda had been here just that morning, bringing groceries I didn't ask for, reorganizing my kitchen cabinets without asking, suggesting again that I consider Meadowbrook Senior Living. It's not a nursing home, Dad. It's independent living with support services. You'd have your own apartment, but help if you need it, and the social activities would be good for you. I'd smiled and nodded like I'd been doing for months, letting her words wash over me while I wondered when she'd started talking to me like I was a child, instead of the man who'd taught her to drive, to balance a checkbook, to change a tire. I took the thumb drive inside and locked the door behind me. Something in Eleanor's note made my engineering instincts kick in, the same ones that had kept me employed for 43 years designing systems that couldn't fail. She'd been specific. Alone. Don't tell anyone. Eleanor was never dramatic without reason. My laptop took forever to boot up, or maybe it just felt that way. The thumb drive contained a single video file, dated 3 weeks before she passed. I remembered that day. She'd insisted I go to Michael's house to help him with his deck. Said she needed an afternoon to herself. I'd thought she wanted to rest without me hovering. I clicked play. Eleanor appeared on screen, sitting in our bedroom in the reading chair by the window. The late afternoon light made her look almost healthy, though I could see the weight loss, the way her wedding ring hung loose on her finger. She was wearing the blue cardigan I'd bought her for our 40th anniversary. Hi, honey. Her voice cracked something open in my chest. If you're watching this, I'm gone, and you finally worked up the courage to go through my things. I'm proud of you for that. I know how hard this must be. She paused, looking directly into the camera with an expression I'd seen 1,000 times during our marriage. The one she wore when she had to tell me something I didn't want to hear. Robert, I need you to listen to everything I'm about to say before you do anything. I need you to really hear me, the way you did when I told you I was sick, when I told you the treatment wasn't working. Can you do that for me one more time? I nodded at the screen, tears already streaming down my face. I'm worried about Amanda. Eleanor's words hit me like a physical blow. Not worried like a mother worries. Worried like I think she's planning something that will hurt you. I hope I'm wrong. God, I hope I'm wrong. But I can't take the chance of not warning you. She shifted in the chair, wincing slightly. I remembered how much pain she'd been in near the end, how she'd tried to hide it from us. About 3 months ago, Amanda started asking me questions about our finances, how much the house was worth, whether we had life insurance, what your pension situation looked like. At first, I thought she was just being practical, helping us plan. But then she brought Derek around. Derek, Amanda's new boyfriend. I'd met him twice. Slick hair, expensive suit, firm handshake that felt like a sales pitch. He'd called me sir too many times and asked too many questions about my retirement plans. Derek is a financial advisor, but Rob, I looked him up. He's not with any major firm. He has a small office in a strip mall, and when I checked with Margaret, whose son works in finance, she said Derek's been investigated twice for questionable practices with elderly clients. Nothing stuck, but the complaints were filed. My hands clenched into fists. Eleanor had always been thorough, always did her research. If she'd investigated Derek, she had reasons. Last week, Amanda came to visit while you were at your doctor's appointment. She brought paperwork, Said it was about setting up a power of attorney, just in case something happened to both of us. She wanted me to sign. Said she'd already talked to you about it. Eleanor's voice hardened. But honey, you and I tell each other everything. You never mentioned any conversation about power of attorney. The camera shook slightly as Eleanor adjusted her position. I told her I needed to think about it. She got frustrated, said I was being difficult, that you'd already agreed, that she was trying to help us prepare for the inevitable. That's when she said something that froze my blood. She said, Mom, Dad's already showing signs. Yesterday he couldn't remember where he'd put his keys. Last week he asked me this same question twice. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. Rob, there's nothing wrong with your memory. You misplace your keys sometimes because you're human, not because you're losing your mind. And if you asked her something twice, it's probably because she wasn't listening the first time. But she's building a narrative. She's trying to establish that you're declining, that you need help, that you can't manage on your own. I hit pause and stood up, pacing the living room. This couldn't be right. Amanda was my little girl. She'd cried in my arms when her marriage fell apart 4 years ago. I'd helped her move into her apartment, lent her money to get back on her feet, co-signed her car lease when her credit was shot. But I made myself sit back down and press play. Eleanor deserved to be heard. I called Michael and asked him casually if Amanda had mentioned anything about power of attorney. He had no idea what I was talking about. Said Amanda told him we were both doing fine, that you were handling my illness well. That's when I knew. She's isolating us, controlling the information, making sure Michael doesn't know what she's planning. Eleanor wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, a gesture so familiar it hurt to watch. After I die, she's going to ramp up the pressure. She'll suggest you can't handle the house. She'll point out every little memory slip, every moment of grief, as evidence that you need help. She'll probably suggest Meadowbrook. I've seen the brochures in her car. Jesus Christ, she had. This morning, in fact, hidden under her gym bag, but visible enough that I noticed. Here's what I need you to do. Eleanor leaned forward, and I recognized the look on her face. This was Eleanor in problem-solving mode, the woman who'd managed our finances, raised our kids, and kept me grounded for 45 years. First, check our bank accounts. All of them. Look for any transactions you don't recognize. I've been monitoring them, but I won't be there to keep watching. She pulled out a small notebook and held it up to the camera. This is in my nightstand, under my Bible. It has all our account numbers, passwords, and a record of our assets as of today. Compare it to what you see after I'm gone. Second, do not sign anything Amanda gives you. Nothing. Not a power of attorney, not a financial planning document, nothing. If you need legal documents updated, go to Howard Morrison. You remember him? The attorney who handled our will 10 years ago. He's trustworthy, and he knows our wishes. Eleanor set the notebook aside. Third, trust your instincts. You built safety systems for 40 years. You know how to spot a flaw in the design. If something feels wrong, it probably is. She paused, and for a moment she just looked at me through the screen, the way she used to look at me across the dinner table, across our bed, across the chaos of our life together. I need to tell you something else, and this is harder. She took a shaky breath. I've seen how Amanda looks at Derek, and honey, it's not love, it's dependence, maybe desperation. I think she owes him something. Money, maybe, or maybe he has some other hold on her. But whatever their relationship is, it's not healthy, and it's not what it appears to be. You're going to want to believe the best about her. That's who you are. You see the good in people, especially your children. It's one of the things I've always loved about you. But Rob, sometimes the people we love make choices that hurt us. Sometimes they lose their way. And when that happens, loving them doesn't mean letting them destroy you. Eleanor started crying then, really crying. I'm so sorry I won't be there to handle this with you. I'm so sorry I'm leaving you to deal with this alone. But you're not weak. You're not declining. You're 67 years old with a sharp mind and a good heart, and you deserve to spend your retirement in peace, not fighting off your own daughter. She wiped her face and seemed to gather herself. There's more information on this drive. Financial records I copied. Text messages between Amanda and Derek that I found on her phone when she left it on our counter. I'm not proud of snooping, but my instincts were screaming. Read it all, then decide what to do. Eleanor stood up slowly, gripping the chair for support. Whatever you decide, know that I love you. Know that I believe in you. And know that protecting yourself isn't the same as not loving your children. Sometimes, it's the only way to love them correctly. She walked toward the camera, and the screen went black. I sat in the silence of my living room as the sun set outside, casting the room in shadows. Then I opened the folder of documents Eleanor had left me. The first was a screenshot of text messages between Amanda and Derek from 2 months before Eleanor died. Amanda, he's still sharp. This is going to take longer than we thought. Derek, after your mom passes, he'll be vulnerable. That's when we make our move. Grief makes people suggestible. Amanda, I feel sick about this. Derek, you want to feel sick? Think about what happens if we don't pay Marcus back by December. That's real. Your dad's feelings? Those will pass. Marcus. I didn't know any Marcus, but Amanda owing someone money explained the desperation Eleanor had sensed. The next document was a financial analysis Eleanor had done. She'd tracked Amanda's visits against our bank accounts. Small withdrawals. $20 here, $50 there. Nothing dramatic enough to notice, but over 6 months, Amanda had taken nearly $2,000 using my debit card on days she'd helped with grocery shopping. There were more texts. Plans to have me declared incompetent. Research into how long it takes to sell a house in Oregon. Screenshots of Meadowbrook's pricing. $4,500 a month for a small apartment. The note said, convince him to sell house. Put money in managed account. Use monthly payments to Meadowbrook to siphon funds through Derek's firm. My daughter. My little girl who used to fall asleep on my chest during Blazers games, who'd called me crying from college because she missed home, who'd told me I was her hero at her high school graduation. I thought about the past 16 months through this new lens, how Amanda had started coming around more after Eleanor died, how she'd taken over managing my medications, my appointments, my social calendar, how she'd discouraged me from joining the Thursday night poker game with my old engineering buddies, saying I seemed tired, suggesting I might find it stressful. How she'd slowly been isolating me, establishing a pattern of dependency, building her case that I needed help. The anger came then, white hot and clarifying, but underneath it, deeper, was the grief. Not just for Eleanor, but for the daughter I thought I had, for the relationship I'd believed was real. I spent the next 2 hours reading everything Eleanor had left me. Then I opened my laptop and started my own investigation. Derek Morrison ran Morrison Financial Services from an office 20 miles outside Portland. He had no professional certifications I could verify. His LinkedIn showed a history of brief stints at various firms, none lasting more than 18 months. His Facebook profile showed him in Vegas, at expensive restaurants, driving a Lexus he couldn't possibly afford on what he claimed to earn. I found the complaints Eleanor had mentioned. Elderly clients who claimed he'd convinced them to move assets into high-risk investments that failed. Cases dismissed for lack of evidence, but the pattern was clear. Then I dug into Amanda's finances. This took some work, but I still had access to the family phone plan, which meant I could see her cloud backups if I knew her password. I did. It was my mother's maiden name and Eleanor's birth year. The same password she'd used since high school because she could never remember anything more complex. Her photos were automatically backed up. I found pictures of bank statements, probably saved to send to Derek. Amanda was $42,000 in debt. Credit cards maxed out. A personal loan from someone named Marcus Chen with an interest rate that should be illegal. Payment terms that explained the desperation in her texts. She'd borrowed $40,000 at 30% interest, and according to the contract she'd photographed, if she didn't pay it back by December 15th, the interest would jump to 50%, and Marcus had the right to pursue collection through all legal means, including claims against co-signers and family assets. There was no way she'd sign me as a co-signer. I would have remembered, which meant either she'd forged my signature or she was planning to claim some kind of family obligation that would make me feel responsible. I sat back and looked at Eleanor's photo on the mantel. You were right, honey, about all of it. That night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about Amanda as a little girl, how she'd hold my hand crossing the street, how she'd beg me to read just one more chapter before bed, how she'd defended her brother when kids bullied him in middle school, fierce and loyal and brave. When had she changed? Or had I just not wanted to see it? In the morning, I called Howard Morrison, our attorney. He was semi-retired now, but agreed to meet me that afternoon. "Robert, I'm going to be direct with you." Howard folded his hands on his desk after I'd explained everything and showed him Eleanor's documentation. "This is elder financial abuse. If Amanda has been taking money without permission, forging signatures, or manipulating you into signing documents under false pretenses, that's not just unethical. It's criminal. What are my options? First, we secure your assets. We'll move money into accounts she doesn't have access to. We'll update your power of attorney to someone you trust. Do you have anyone?" I thought of my brother James, retired Navy, living in Seattle, steady, honest, protective. My brother, good. Second, we document everything. Every unusual interaction, every request for money or signatures, every attempt at manipulation. Third, we decide whether you want to involve law enforcement now or wait to see if she escalates. And if she escalates, Howard's face was grim. Then we use the documentation to protect you legally and potentially press charges. But Robert, there's something else you need to consider. If you do this, if you cut her off and protect yourself, your relationship with your daughter is probably over. Are you prepared for that? I looked at Eleanor's handwriting on the documents spread across his desk. My wife warned me about this when she was dying instead of resting. She used some of her last days protecting me. I think I owe it to her memory to protect myself. Then let's get started. Over the next 2 weeks, I worked with Howard to restructure everything. New accounts Amanda couldn't access. Power of attorney transferred to James, who flew down for a weekend and nearly punched a wall when I told him what was happening. Updated will that split everything between Michael and a charity Eleanor had supported, with a nominal amount to Amanda to prevent her from claiming she'd been forgotten. I also did something Eleanor's notes suggested. I set up a small security camera in my living room, hidden in a bookshelf. If Amanda was going to try something, I wanted evidence. 3 weeks after I'd watched Eleanor's video, Amanda called. "Dad, I need to talk to you about something important. Can I come over tomorrow?" "Of course, sweetheart." She arrived with Derek, red flag number 1. She'd never mentioned he was coming. "Dad, we need to talk about your future." Amanda sat on Eleanor's favorite chair, and I hated seeing her there. Derek stood behind her like a prop, his hand on her shoulder. "I'm listening." "You've been alone for almost 5 months now. Michael and I are worried. The house is too big. Maintaining it is too much for one person. And honestly, Dad, we've noticed some things." "What things?" Derek stepped in, his voice smooth as oil. "Last week when Amanda was here, you couldn't remember where you'd parked your car at the grocery store. The week before, you asked her twice what day Michael was visiting. These are early warning signs, Mr. Harrison. We're not saying anything is seriously wrong, but it's better to plan ahead." I let silence hang in the room. Engineering trick. Let them fill it. Amanda leaned forward. "We've been looking at Meadowbrook. Dad, it's beautiful. You'd have your own apartment, but there's a dining room, activities, people your age. And if you need help, medical staff are right there." "How much does it cost?" $4,500 a month. "But Dad, you can afford it. If we sell the house, you'd have plenty." "Sell the house." "It's too much house for one person." Amanda's voice took on an edge. "And the market is good right now. Derek says we could get at least $600,000. Even after paying off the mortgage and some repairs, you'd clear $450 easily. That's enough for years at Meadowbrook. And Derek can invest the rest so it keeps growing." There it was. The play. Sell the house. Put the money in Derek's hands. Watch it disappear into whatever scheme he was running, or into Marcus Chen's pocket. "I appreciate you looking out for me." I kept my voice mild. "But I'm not ready to sell the house. Your mother and I built our life here. I'm not leaving." Amanda's face hardened. "Dad, you're not thinking clearly. This is exactly what we're worried about. You're making emotional decisions instead of practical ones. My mind is fine, Amanda. Is it? Derek again. Because Amanda's told me some concerning things. Missed appointments. Confusion about medications. Maybe you don't see it because you're experiencing gaslighting. Classic manipulation. Make me doubt my own reality. I haven't missed any appointments. My medications are organized in a pill box I fill every Sunday. And the only confusion I've experienced lately is why my daughter is trying to convince me I'm losing my mind when I'm not. Amanda stood up. This is exactly what Derek warned me would happen. Denial. Dad, we're trying to help you. Are you? I stood too, and I let my voice get cold. Or are you trying to help yourself out of $42,000 of debt? The color drained from her face. What are you talking about? I'm talking about Marcus Chen. I'm talking about a loan at 30% interest due in December. I'm talking about text messages between you and Derek planning to have me declared incompetent so you can sell my house and steal my money. Derek moved toward the door. I don't have to listen to these accusations. No, but the police might be interested in you. I pulled out my phone. I have documentation, text messages, financial records. Eleanor left me everything before she died. Amanda sat down hard, her face crumpling. Mom knew? She knew. She was sick and dying. And instead of resting, she spent her energy protecting me from you. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never meant it wasn't supposed to be like this. Marcus was supposed to be a sure thing. Derek said whatever you needed to hear to get access to my money. I looked at the man still hovering near my door. Get out of my house. Mr. Harrison, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Get out before I call the police and file a complaint about your business practices. I have the names of 3 other families you've stolen. I wonder how your business license would hold up under that kind of scrutiny. Derek laughed. Amanda stayed, crying. How could you? The words ripped out of me. I'm your father. Your mother just died. How could you plan to do this? I'm scared. Amanda looked up at me, and for a moment I saw my little girl again. I'm so scared, Dad. The debt, the threats from Marcus's people. Derek said this was the only way. He said you'd be fine in Meadowbrook. You'd never know the difference. And everyone would win, except I would have lost my home, my autonomy, and my dignity. I sat down across from her, suddenly exhausted. Amanda, you needed help. You could have just asked me. I did. After the divorce, I asked you for so much already. I couldn't keep coming back. So instead, you decided to steal from me? She couldn't answer that. Here's what's going to happen. I pulled out the documents Howard had prepared. I've moved my assets into accounts you can't access. My power of attorney now belongs to your Uncle James. I've updated my will. You'll receive $50,000 when I die. Nothing more. The rest will be split between your brother and the Cancer Research Foundation your mother supported. $50,000? Dad, that's more than you deserve after planning to steal everything. I'm leaving you enough to pay off Marcus and start over. But that's it. The house stays mine. My money stays mine. My life stays mine. Amanda stood up, anger replacing tears. You're choosing money over your daughter. No, you chose money over your father. I'm just protecting myself from that choice. She left without another word. Michael came by that evening. I'd called him after Amanda left, told him everything. He'd asked to see the evidence before believing it, which I respected. Now he sat on my couch, reading through Eleanor's notes and Amanda's texts, his face getting redder. I knew Derek was a piece of shit. I didn't know Amanda had gotten this desperate. She borrowed money she couldn't pay back, got involved with a loan shark. Derek saw an opportunity. Dad, I'm so sorry. I should have been around more. I should have noticed. You have a life, a family, a demanding job. I don't expect you to babysit me. Still, Michael set down the papers. What do you need from me? Just what you're already doing. Being my son. Visiting when you can. Telling me if you think I'm actually declining. Because Amanda's gaslighting made me doubt myself for a minute there. You're sharp as ever. Probably sharper than me half the time. He smiled, but it faded quickly. What happens now? Now, I live my life. I'll keep the house as long as I can manage it. When I can't anymore, I'll move into a retirement community. But it'll be my choice, made with my sound mind. Your mother saved me from making a mistake I couldn't undo. Michael looked at Eleanor's photo. She always was looking out for us. Yeah, she was. The next few months were hard. Amanda tried to call twice, texts that were half apology and half accusation. I didn't respond. Derek's office closed suddenly in January. I heard through Howard that he'd skipped town after several complaints were filed. Amanda had to figure out Marcus on her own. Michael told me she'd gotten a second job, was slowly paying down the debt. She'd moved to a smaller apartment, cut back on everything. Maybe it would teach her something. Maybe it wouldn't. But it wasn't my problem to solve anymore. I started going to the Thursday night poker games again, reconnected with old friends from work, took up woodworking in the garage, started building a bench that Eleanor had always wanted for the back porch. I'd finish it in the spring. One afternoon in late February, I was working on the bench when I found another box of Eleanor's things I'd missed. Inside was a second thumb drive with a note. Only watch this if you made it through. I took it inside, my heart pounding, sat down at the laptop, clicked play. Eleanor appeared again, and seeing her face still hurt, but differently now. Like remembering a good dream instead of mourning an ended one. Hi, honey. If you're watching this, it means my worst fears were real, and you had to make a terrible choice. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She smiled, and it was the smile I'd fallen in love with 50 years ago. But I'm also proud. You protected yourself. You didn't let love make you a victim. That takes strength. I want you to know something about Amanda. Eleanor's voice got softer. When she was 8, do you remember how she saved up all her allowance for 3 months to buy you that fishing tackle box for your birthday? How excited she was to give it to you? That girl is still in there somewhere. The kind, generous daughter we raised. What happened to her isn't entirely her fault. Some of it is. The choices she made were hers. But some of it is just life wearing a person down until they make decisions they never thought they would. Divorce, debt, desperation, it changes people. Eleanor leaned forward. I'm not saying to forgive her. That's your choice. But don't forget her completely. Maybe someday, after she's sorted herself out, after she's proven she's changed, maybe you two can find a new relationship. Not the old one. That's gone. But something honest, built on truth instead of manipulation. Or maybe you can't. Maybe this broke something that can't be fixed. That's okay too. You're allowed to prioritize your own safety and peace. You're allowed to say enough is enough. She sat back, looking tired. I wish I could be there to help you through this. I wish I could hold your hand and tell you it's going to be okay. But Rob, you were strong before you met me. You'll be strong after I'm gone. You built a career on making systems that wouldn't fail. Apply that same engineering to your life. Build something that works. Build something safe. I love you. I loved every minute we had together. Every fight, every laugh, every quiet morning with coffee. All of it. And wherever I am now, I'm still loving you, still proud of you, still believing in you. Live your life, Robert Harrison. Live it fully. Don't let grief or anger or betrayal shrink your world. Play poker, build things, make new friends. Maybe even, eventually, let yourself be happy again. You deserve that. Tell Michael I love him. Tell him he's a good son and a good man. And Amanda. Eleanor's voice caught. Tell Amanda I loved her too, even at the end. Even knowing what she might do. Tell her I hope she finds her way back to being the person she was meant to be. Eleanor stood up, walked to the camera like she had in the first video. But this time, before she turned it off, she blew a kiss. See you on the other side, honey. Take your time getting there. The screen went black. I sat in my living room as the afternoon sun painted shadows across the walls, and I let myself cry. Not just for Eleanor, but for everything. The daughter I'd lost, the trust that was broken, the future I'd thought I was building, all of it. But also for what remained, for Michael and his family, for my brother James, who called every Sunday now to check on me, for the friends I'd reconnected with, For the quiet dignity of living on my own terms, in my own house, with my own choices. I picked up my phone and texted Michael. Your mom wanted me to tell you she loves you and you're a good man. She was right on both counts. His response came quickly. Love you too, Dad. See you Sunday for dinner? I'll be there. I looked at Eleanor's photo one more time. Thank you, I said to the empty room. For everything. For 45 years. For protecting me, even when you were dying. For loving me enough to tell me hard truths. Then I went back to the garage and worked on her bench. The late afternoon sun warm on my back, the smell of sawdust mixing with the early spring air, and for the first time in 16 months, the silence didn't feel quite so heavy. 6 months passed. Then a year. The bench sat on the back porch, weathering into something beautiful. I'd mounted a small plaque on it. Eleanor's place, where love sits and waits. I hadn't heard from Amanda. Michael said she'd finished paying off Marcus, was working 2 jobs and going to therapy. Good for her. Maybe someday we'd talk, maybe we wouldn't. I'd made my peace with both possibilities. One Thursday evening after poker, my friend Ray asked me how I was really doing. Honestly, I'm okay. Better than okay some days. You ever think about what Eleanor said? About building something new? I looked around my garage workshop at the projects I'd started. A bookshelf for Michael's daughter. A toy box for his son. A bird feeder I was designing for the backyard. I think I already am, I said. One piece at a time. And it was true. The betrayal had hurt. The loss of the daughter I thought I had would probably always hurt. But Eleanor had been right about something else too. I was strong. I was sharp. And I was exactly where I needed to be. Living life on my own terms. That night, I sat on Eleanor's bench and watched the stars come out, and I thought about the message she'd left me. Not just the warning about Amanda, but the deeper truth underneath it all. Love isn't blind. Sometimes it's the clearest sight we have. And sometimes the most loving thing we can do is protect ourselves so we can keep living, keep building, keep being the person someone believed we could be. I'm doing all right, honey, I said to the night air. I'm doing all right. And somewhere, in whatever comes after this, I like to think she was smiling.